Hi guys, thanks for tuning into Coco 3D. In this video, we are going to implement all new Unity ads in our game. So let's get started. So the first step is to sign up in the Unity Gaming Services. So click sign in and I'll choose my Google account for login. Then accept Unity Terms of Services. And here we have our Unity dashboard. Great. Now let's open Unity and start the implementation. So first we'll switch our platform to Android. So for that, click on File, Build Setting, then select Android and press the switch platform. And let me just quickly change my Unity layout. Great. So now let's create some button for loading and showing ads. So here I have created 3 buttons for loading the ad, and we will show the ads as soon as the ads are loaded. And yes, we can create different button for showing the ads, but let's just make it simple for this video. Now next step is to link our Unity project with the Unity dashboard. So click on Edit, Project Settings, and under the Services panel, click this Retry Connection, and then we'll select our organization and we'll click on Create Project ID. Now let's open our dashboard, and under the Monetization Setup, we will set up our Unity ads. So click on Get Started. So guys, now Unity ads comes in 2 different flavor. One is the normal Unity ads, in which whenever our game asks for an ad, Unity provide it from their own database. And the other is the mediation, in which Unity has a lot other ad partners like AppLovin, AdMob, and many others partner, which basically bids on an ad whenever our game asks for one, and whoever bid more, Unity provide their ad to us, which basically increases the developer's profit. But this mediation is right now in beta phase, so we will cover it in next video. So for now, click on I plan to use the Unity ads, then click on Next. Now leave this option as it is because we want to start fresh. Then click on Next. And now if your game is live on the Google or Apple store, you can paste in the links. But in our case, we will go with the second option, which is my game is not live in the App Store yet. And then we will just click on Add Project. Amazing. So here we have our project ID for Android and iOS. And you can copy it in a notepad file if you like. Now click on Add Units. Here we have our Add Unit IDs. By default, Unity provides 6 IDs for banner, interstitial, and rewarded for both Android and iOS. And we can create more IDs if we like from this Add Unit button. So if you want to create a new ID, then give it a name, then select it is for Android or iOS. And last we have to select its category, like whether it is for banner, interstitial, or rewarded. And then click on Create, which will create a new ID for you. But for now, we will go with the default ones. So now let's jump back into the Unity and download the package. So for that, click on Windows, Package Manager. And under the Unity registry, we will search for advertisement. So here it is, click on it and click install. So now with that, our all setup is complete. Now let's create a folder which will hold our scripts. Now we will create 4 scripts. One is for initializing the ad and the other 3 is for banner, interstitial, and rewarded. So let's just quickly create it. So now let's create an game object in the scene and attach our initialize ads to this game object. Now let's open the script and start some coding. So first we have to add the using Unity engine.advertisement, and let's just get rid of this start and update. Now we have to create 2 strings for iOS and Android game IDs and a bool variable which indicates the testing mode. And finally we have to create one more string for the game ID that we will use in this script. Now let's create a function and name it as initialize ads. Now here our game ID can be equal to an Android game ID or an iOS game ID. That basically depends upon the device we are currently in. So for that we will create if Unity iOS, elif Unity Android, elif Unity editor, and we'll close it with and if. Now our game ID is equals to the iOS game ID if we are on an iOS device, so we will just copy it and paste it right inside the Unity iOS. And our game ID is equals to the Android game ID for the other 2 options. And yeah, for the editor is just for testing. So now we have our game ID and we can now initialize the Unity ads. So we will check the advertisement is not initialized and advertisement is supported. Then we will just simply call the advertisement.initialize and we will pass in the game ID, its testing mode, and this script. Now this can result in a success or failure. So we will need some callbacks for this. So for that we will have to derive from one more class, which is iUnityAds initialization listener, and we will implement the interfaces. Now this will add 2 different functions. One is on initialization complete and other is the on initialization failure. Now in here we can do anything, but for now we will just print the statements. And last thing is just to call the initialize add function from the awake method. So let me just quickly implement this. So with that, our initialization script is complete. So let's just work on banner ads. So here again we have to use the Unity engine.advertisement. Then we will create two strings for Android and iOS game IDs. Then we will create a new string for add unit ID that we will use in our script, which again basically depends upon the device we are currently in. And last we have to create the banner position, and by default we will position it in the bottom center. So let's create start, and here we will just copy paste the code from the initialization script to select our particular add unit ID. And in here we don't need the Unity editor. So let me just quickly assign my add unit ID according to the device, and we have to set the banner position by using the advertisement.banner.setPosition, and we will pass in the banner position. So now all we have to do is load the banner. So let's create a function for that. And now we have to create two more functions for onBannerLoaded or onBannerLoadError, and we have to handle this exception by ourselves only for banner ads. So to handle the exception inside the load banner function, we will write banner load options equals to new banner load options, and in here we will assign our both of the functions. So onBannerLoaded will get called when the ad is successfully loaded, and onBannerLoadError will get called when the banner is not successfully loaded. And now we can load our banner by advertisement.banner.load, and we will pass our banner ad ID with the exception handling options. And for the other two functions we will just write a print statement. And now with that our loading the banner ad is completed, and now we can move on and work on showing the banner. So let's create a function show banner ads, and we will call it from onBannerLoaded. So just like we handle the exception in the load banner function, we have to do the exact same thing for the showing banner function. So now there are three possibilities with the shown banner function. First is the banner shown successfully, second is the banner clicked, and third is the banner hidden. But first we have to change this banner load option to banner options. Now let's implement these functions. Now with that, show banner ad is completed, and in case if we like to hide the banner, we can create a new function for that and name it as hide banner ad. And inside this function we can just simply write advertisement.banner.hide. So with that our banner script is now completed. So let's move on to the interstitial ads. Now in here again we have to use the using Unity engine.advertisement, and for interstitial and rewarded we will derive from two classes which will handle our all exceptions for us. So let's implement this. First is iUnityAdsLoadListener, and the other is iUnityAdsShowListener. So let's just implement both of the interfaces. Now first two functions are for the load interstitial, and other four functions are for the show interstitial. So let's create a function for load interstitial first. So for that, first we will create our IDs for Android and iOS, and then we will create a new string for add unit ID, just like we did in the banner ads. Now let's just copy paste the code from the banner ads script, as all the things are same. Now we have finalized our add unit ID. So let's create a load ad function. So here we will load the interstitial ad. So write advertisement.load and pass in the ID. Now this can result in success or failure, but this time it is automatically handled for us inside these functions. So we will just print the statements for now. So now our load ad is complete. So let's create a function for show ads. So we can just simply write advertisement.show, and we can just pass in our add unit ID. Now we have four callbacks for the show ad function. So for now we will just print a statement for each of them, as we don't really care about the callbacks. Now with that our interstitial script is completed. So let's move on to our last ad, which is rewarded ad. And in the rewarded ad we can just simply copy paste everything from the interstitial script. Now let me just change the print statements, as I have to remove the interstitial and write the rewarded. Okay, so now the only difference in between the interstitial and the rewarded is that as our both of the classes derived from the same classes, so our callback function on Unity ads loaded in the rewarded script can get called when the interstitial ad is loaded. So inside our add loaded function, we will just compare the ID that it passes, and if this ID is equals to our own ID, that means the rewarded ad is successfully loaded. And we have to do the exact same thing for the on Unity ads show complete, because we cannot distribute the reward when the interstitial ad is successfully shown. So let's compare the placement IDs. So this is the syntax for that. And if this is true, then we can just distribute the rewards. So now with that, our all 4 scripts are now completed. So let's drag and drop our scripts in the scene. And now we have to fill in our IDs. So let's just quickly copy paste it from our dashboard. And let's just quickly link our load ad buttons to their respective scripts. And one thing I just forgot to show the ads when they are successfully loaded in the interstitial and rewarded ads. So let me just quickly do it. Okay, so now let's run this. So now let's click on load banner. It is working. And load interstitial, it is also working. And last is rewarded, and rewarded ad is also working. And here we are getting our all print statements. So everything is now working perfectly. And don't forget to turn off your is testing mode when you publish your app. And with that, our ads implementation is now completed. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Do like the video. Bye bye.